What's up everybody, and we are back for another video. In this video I'm going to be telling you guys about 3 free agents the Detroit Lions could possibly sign to help out the team. Let's get right into the video. So yes, in this video I'm going to be telling you guys about my 3 free agents the Detroit Lions could sign to potentially help their team. And basically these are guys that are going to help with depth, okay? I'm not really looking at a guy to fill out a starter kind of role, so I'm also looking for guys without big contracts. I don't want to pay anybody a lot of money. These are really guys that's going to help out with depth, maybe add some competition. Like the Detroit Lions did today, signing Jamar Summers. If you guys want to know more about that, check out my video on it if you have not. The Detroit Lions brought in a cornerback there. There's other positions that you could definitely talk about. You could talk about signing a cornerback, which I didn't. You could talk about signing a defensive lineman like Jean-Francois, which I didn't. But in this video, I'm looking at 3 players the Lions could potentially sign and kind of just help out some depth. I don't know tons about these guys. Look, I wasn't following their careers. I just had to get some information that I could and put this out and make a list for you guys. So let's start this thing off. Coming in at number 3, we have an offensive tackle, Chris Clark, okay? Chris Clark is a 33-year-old offensive tackle. Not super old, okay? He's not a young offensive tackle, we'll just say that. But his last contract with the Panthers was only $915,000. So it's not like he was on a huge contract. The Detroit Lions definitely could pay that. He was an undrafted free agent back in 2008. And in 2018, he took over starter with the Panthers for the last 13 games of the season because of injuries. So there was back-to-back injuries on that offensive line. So the left tackle spot was open, and they brought in Chris Clark to help that out, and he actually started for 13 games straight for the Panthers. So he definitely has some talent. Again, he's not a guy that you would bring in to start or maybe take over a guy like Taylor Decker's spot, but this is a guy that could compete for that second unit type of thing. You know, we have a guy named Terrell Crosby who kind of struggled, that kind of thing. I'm not saying that these guys would automatically take over their spot, but they could definitely compete for those kind of positions because I think our depth line could definitely use some help, and you guys will see that I did something very similar in number 2, but these play with multiple teams in the NFL. Like I said, this guy was drafted back in 2008, so he's definitely bounced around. He's played for the Buccaneers, the Vikings, the Broncos, the Texans, and the Panthers, so 5 teams, and he could be with 6, he could be with the Detroit Lions. Like I said, his contract's not very big, so I think it would make sense to maybe give this guy a look as an offensive tackle. Again, he's an older offensive tackle, so he wouldn't last very long probably with us. But again, he could help with some offensive line depth because, you know, if you're going in like a win-now mode, you really want to make sure that everything is solid. So we'll see what the Detroit Lions decide to do there. Now, hopping into number 2, I have another offensive lineman, but this guy's a guard, and that is Jeff Allen. Jeff Allen from the Chiefs. A lot younger than Chris Clark was, okay? This guy was drafted back in 2012 as a second-round pick, but he was on a pretty small contract recently. He was on a $790,000 contract. He moved teams, and he got on a $959,000 contract. Again, those aren't gigantic, though, because he's not a very old offensive lineman, and he does have some talent, okay? He's moved around a lot, but he's had to deal with a lot of injuries, and that's really been the concern with this offensive lineman. That's why he's bounced around so much. He had to deal with so many injuries. He was placed on the PUP list when he was with the Texans, but now he's a free agent once again. I think this is a guy the Detroit Lions, again, could bring in, because, again, he doesn't have a big contract, so if he has to deal with injuries, you can just move on from him. But he could definitely help out for one season because he's a depth kind of guy. He's not going to be coming in trying to get that starter role. I mean, it really comes down to what the Detroit Lions want to do, because we saw guys like Andrew Donnell struggle, maybe at that guard spot, so you could put him in there, maybe add some competition to that spot. Again, he's not a very old offensive lineman, so as long as he can stay healthy, he will be a nice depth kind of player, and he was a high pick in 2012, so we definitely had potential coming out of college. I decided to put him in here because he didn't have a big contract either, and he is one of the top offensive lineman free agents still available. Now, hopping into number 1 is a guy that's very controversial. I'm going to put him on here because I've heard a lot of people talk about him, and that is Pierre Garcon, okay? And Pierre Garcon is basically on here because of the Jermaine Kearse injury. Now, personally, I don't think the Detroit Lions have to go get any kind of wide receivers. I think they're fine with Travis Fulgham. They're fine with Brandon Powell. They're fine with Chris Lacey. They have talent. I don't think they're going to do this. I don't think they need to do this. But I've heard a lot of people mention it, like, hey, maybe we sign Pierre Garcon. So, you know what? I'm going to throw him on here just to give you guys a little bit of thoughts about Pierre Garcon. So, Pierre Garcon is a 33-year-old wide receiver that was just on a gigantic contract for the Redskins. Now, the Redskins had to pay that out so they could get rid of him because he only played 8 games in the last 2 seasons. No, 8 games in each of the last 2 seasons because he played 8 games in a 16-game season twice. So, think of it like that way. So, 16 games in 2 seasons. I'm struggling to talk right now. So, Pierre Garcon is a guy that up to that point was really good, healthy, Now he's had to deal with some injuries. He is an older wide receiver at 33 years of age. This would really just be a guy that you would bring in because of the Jermaine Kearse loss if you weren't happy about our depth. He's a 6 foot, 210-pound wide receiver that when he was coming into the combine, he ran a 4.4 240. I'm sure it's nothing like that anymore. But again, he did have 64 receptions and only playing 16 games in the last 2 seasons. So he is still a big part of that offense. But again, he was on a huge contract. The Redskins had to pay it out. So now the Detroit Lions could potentially sign this guy for very, very cheap. But I don't know if he would accept that. I would think he would, though, after, kind of being injured and being an older wide receiver. This is a guy that really, again, I don't know if the Detroit Lions will do this. I don't think they have to do this. I think they have enough talented players on this roster currently where bringing in Pierre Garcon just wouldn't be necessary for me. But I thought I would put him on this list because a lot of you guys have been talking about him. And you know what? That's just kind of my respect for you guys because you guys bring him up. So I was like, you know what? Let me put him in one of our lists so we can really discuss this, and you guys can get that going in the comments below. Again, it doesn't mean that Lions are going to sign any of these guys. I just thought I would get the ball rolling, like maybe the Lions will sign this guy. Maybe we should discuss this guy. And if you guys disagree, if you guys agree, let me know in the comments below. It's all in good fun because it is what it is. Basically, free agency is just a guessing game, and you just have to wait and see what happens. So I decided to put 3 players together, really to get a discussion going. Now, about the PS4 tournament. I don't have an Xbox, so I can't really do the Xbox tournament. I mean, I guess I could set up a bracket if you guys wanted to do one. You guys just have to let me know. Problem is, I wouldn't be in it again because I don't have a PS4. Then I also had a great idea, which I don't know if I want to spoil in this video or not. Do I want to tell you guys about it? Yes, I will tell you guys about it, okay? And I am going to call it the debate table. And I want to get this thing started. I feel like this is going to be super fun. So if you guys want to do this, I may even leave a poll up, but let me know in the comments below, like, yes, that sounds fun. The debate table for me is basically going to be, I get 2 people. You guys love to talk sports. So if 2 people want to talk sports in front of some other people, in front of me, in front of someone else, and basically have to make an argument. So you'll get like a certain set amount of time. I'll look at the rules. Someone will get a certain set amount of time to make their argument. The other person will have their certain amount of time to make their argument against it, however the debate works. And then we'll basically vote like, hey, this is the person who won an argument. Now, we'll definitely give you an argument earlier. You guys will pick a side, and then you will just have to come up with a debate. You may get like 90 seconds to talk. I feel like it would be super fun to watch, very entertaining. And it could be on anything. It doesn't have to be just about the Detroit Lions. It could be anything, and you just kind of make your debate. Like if you guys remember back to my video where I said Matthew Stafford's better than Russell Wilson, that kind of thing. I think that would be very fun for people to enjoy, and I think it would also give you guys a lot of interaction. You guys would be able to talk some sports. And I think if you guys want to do that, you guys have to let me know in the comments below because I think it'd be a very fun thing to start. Anyways, thank you, Pierre, for watching, and I'm out.